There is a beautiful quote that says that there is nothing more that doesn't make sense than the ambition of a saint or of a mystic. What it means is, like, if you're going into this whole spirituality path and you're trying to transcend the ego, you're trying to ascend above the self, it makes no sense for you to start going through ambition, making goals, doing any of these. Oh, the sun is so beautiful. Doing any of these things where it requires effort. Because the whole purpose is that when you go through the spiritual teachings, when you do it, and you ascend the ego, what happens is that you're not there anymore. You're gone. It's not you there anymore. So even when I talk to you nowadays, my best videos are the ones where it's like I'm not even there anymore. It's just I'm flowing, talking, things are coming out, and I go back and I watch the videos and I'm like, that's such a beautiful video. Like even me, I'm like, dang, some of that information in that video is actually so powerful. And it's because I'm not even doing it for my own self. And when I do my best videos happen when I don't even intend to make the video. They just come out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. And that's what I want you to realize too. There's nothing to do but to watch. That's it. The sun is so beautiful. When you look at the sun, what's the sun doing? The sun is just shining. That's all it's doing. It's not even doing anything. Isn't that so beautiful? For you as well right now, when you're falling into depression, or when people ask me, they're like, it's so hard to focus in salah, I can't even pray, I can't even make dua, and my duas never get accepted. I'm like, it's because you're making it from the ego perspective. You're praying from the ego perspective. You're worshiping Allah from the ego perspective, and the ego is false. It's not even the reality. And then you see spiritual people coming and they're saying things like, you have to kill the ego. You have to kill the ego. Why would you kill something that's not even real? Do you see what I mean? Like this whole concept of, this orange is behind me. This whole concept of killing the ego is not even real. If there's truly la ilaha illallah, and then you try to say, I'm gonna kill the ego, by definition, shouldn't that say that there is already another God other than Allah? Because if there is something that's real, then it's only Allah. There is nothing that's real except Allah. Nothing real in existence except Allah. So then now if you're going to come and say, oh, I have to kill the ego, I have to transcend the ego, I have to go through so much effort of worship, I have to go through so many rak'at, I have to do so many things, and then I'll attain enlightenment. That's not how you attain enlightenment. That's not what you do. That's the funny part. You don't kill the ego, you just watch it. You watch it. And by you watching it, you're bringing the light of awareness. If you're going to try to kill it, that means the ego was real. But you don't do that. That's why people, when they say, they're like, how can I overcome waswasa? I'm like, you don't overcome waswasa. If you're going to try to say, oh, I need to kill the waswasa, you're basically saying like, the waswasa is real. But it's not real. And what did I say? The best thing for you to say is, أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. Why are you saying أعوذ بالله? أعوذ means going back to Allah. When you go back to Allah, you're going back to the real. So you're not even saying anything against shaitan. You don't even insult the shaitan. Because if you're going to be insulting it, that means it's the real. Do you see what I mean? But it's not real. It's not real. It's just falseness. It's just fake. It's just darkness. That's all it is. So there's nothing for you to do than to watch. That's why the most confusing thing is for a saint to start to like having ambition, putting effort. You don't put effort. All you gotta do is just watch. The effort comes out by itself, not by you, by Allah. The goals that you're setting right now, these goals, you will never be able to attain them by yourself. You can never do these things by yourself. You are limited unless you go through a process of you upgrading your self-image. But even that is like, you're building on the wrong foundation, because it never goes up. It never goes up. That book, the Cybernetics book, it just talks about how when you upgrade your self-image, you start to make more money. And that's true, but you're still limited. You're still limited. The path is just to watch. The path is just to go back to Allah. The path is just to submit, to surrender to the one God, to the one creator. That's all it is. Understand that there is nothing to do. The only doing is being. That's all it is. This it's actually such a funny concept, because when you notice yourself, you're putting a lot of effort. The only reason why you're putting a lot of effort is because you're doing it from the mind. You're doing it from the ego. And the ego is gonna have to go through so many things, turns, jumps, so many, like, you have to go through so much stuff to actually get the goal of the ego. But what I'm trying to tell you right now, the best thing for you to do is just suspend all the thoughts. If you're in depression right now, suspend all the thoughts and just watch this depression. Because you are not the one that's depressed. It's the ego, the one that's depressed. It's your mind, the one that's the depressed. It's the false that you've been identifying with all along, the one that's the depressed. The real can never be depressed. The real within you is never depressed. And so enlightenment is not you having to go through so much stuff and then finally achieving enlightenment. That's not what it is. Enlightenment is just you realizing you're already the ocean, man. You're already the ocean. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. That's enlightenment. And it's so funny because when you do go through so much stuff to do, eventually what's going to happen is that you'll be led back to the same exact position that you're in, and then you'll realize, like, the entire gold was always here. The entire gold was always right next to me, and I had to go through so much stuff, and then eventually it just led me back to this. And that's the beauty, because when you find this gold, when you do eventually find it, life starts to open up to you. Because then at this point, you'll start living from life without even thinking, without having any thoughts in your mind. You'll just be doing things and you're like, what the heck, I'm already here. Like, you'll be touching things just turn into gold automatically. And you're like, how is this possible? And then the moment that you go back and you think, how is this happening? I need to go back and study. How is this happening? I need to know how it's happening so that I can replicate it. And that's the exact moment that the magic disappears. That's when the magic disappears. Because the entire time, the magic was not from you, man. That's the thing. It was never from you. It was always from Allah. And that's the beauty of it. It was always by Allah. And you can't replicate what Allah does. That's why it says, you plan and Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners. You try to do things, but Allah is also doing things, and Allah is the best of doers. So stop forcing things. Don't force anything. Just watch it. Watch it, man. That's all you gotta do. Just watch it. And I'm pretty sure, like, the reason why all of you guys are being connected to this beautiful message is because you know that it's real, by the way. Because the real, everybody is attracted to the real. That's why there was a Sufi saint, a Sufi sheikh actually, who you guys probably know him, Sheikh Nadim al-Haqqani. They say that people used to convert to Islam just by looking at this sheikh. And how? Like, by looking at him, they just convert to Islam. And it's because he was emanating the real. He was shining the real. So when people look at him, they get attracted to it. Because they're like, when moth goes to the light, that's what's happening. You at some point, like, you'll become a ball of light that people will just be attracted to you just by looking at you. And that's the beautiful part about it. And then the moment that you go back and you're like, how is this happening? I need to know how this is happening. Oh, I think it's me praying, the thing that's doing that. And then you go and you try to do more and more prayer. And then you notice you're like, wait, what the heck? The effect, the magic of prayer is gone. And it's gone because now you're going to force it. You went to force it. You went to basically replicate the same results by your mind, by the ego. But those results don't come by your ego. Those results only come from Allah. That's why you'll notice the best work that you do is the work that feels effortless, and it feels like you're not even there, and it feels like you're not even doing anything, because that is coming from the real. The moment that you try to force it, it stops working. The moment that you try to force it, or you try to do it, it stops working. But the moment you start being, basically, you just be. Just watch the thoughts. Things will just naturally arise in their own time, without any force. And it'll happen in the best time too. Focus on your breath, man. Because the breath brings you back in the present. Hoping this was helpful. If it was, just let me know, Habibi.